Welcome to the Faith and Justice Show. If you grew up on the Eastern Shore, you know that the land and water aren't just resources, they're legacies. You grew up hearing old tales like if the cows are laying down, it's going to storm. If the leaves are inside out, it's going to be a really bad storm. You can smell rain. If a cat's eyes are big, it's high tide. Or it could also mean a full moon. And then if the sky is red at dawn, that a sailor should take warning. These could have just been things my family taught me, but I feel like that's a generational thing. Anyway, lately there's a different kind of storm brewing. It's coming from the marble halls of Dover and the dockside offices of Annapolis. It's a storm of regulations being pushed down on us from Democrats, the ones that are running our states, as well as a worldview that we have to abide by that doesn't seem to value the people who keep this peninsula running. I'm Mallory Justice, and this is the Faith and Justice Show. And today is our very first episode. First off, I want to start off and say thank you all for your support so far. When I created like Facebook and Instagram and even this idea, I did not expect it to blow up as much as it has. Thank you all. And I am so excited for all of us to go on this journey together. Because this is not just making sure that you are able to grow and learn. This is also for me, because right now, I feel like a lunatic. I'm staring at a camera screen, my laptop screen, and my iPad, talking to myself in a room. But it's fine. Thank you all. I'm very excited for this. I've never done anything like this before. I'm still learning how this camera works, so if it glitches out, I'm sorry. I'm going to figure out how to change that. If the camera moves, it's like AI something. I'm going to figure out how to work on that too. I'm also very used to public speaking, not just talking in front of a camera. So I have my entire script right here on my iPad. If you keep seeing me look down, that's why. Like I said, today is our very first episode. And we're going back to the beginning. My story, why I felt called to start a show. And why that I believe as Christians, staying out of politics is no longer an option if we want to be stewards that God called us to be. And also, I should mention that this week's topic is stewardship over statehood, which we'll dive into later. With this podcast, a lot of people have asked me, like, why did you want to start it? Like, everyone's starting podcasts right now. Every 20-year-old has a podcast. Did you start one because Charlie Kirk died and that's like the fad thing to do? I'm going to be very honest with you. No. I've had this idea since like 2024. I was driving in my car one day and I was like, I love talking. I don't know how to shut up. So what if I just like recorded myself talking? And I was like, I should start a podcast, you know, like Charlie Kirk and Jack Posobiec, all these people I love listening to, they all have a platform. Like, I don't have a platform. I want a platform. So I thought of it, and I was like, I'm going to start a podcast. And then I was like, well, I need a podcast name. And then I was like, wait, you have a really cool middle and last name. So that's where the idea came from of Faith and Justice. So thank you, Mom and Dad, for giving me a pretty cool middle and last name, I guess. So and really this podcast, I wanted to start it so I could educate and advocate for the things I'm passionate about. And nothing is going to stop me from doing that. I'll dive into my story and how it's been threatened more times than once, since many of you may not know me. This is my story. I was born and raised in Sussex County, Delaware. Love it here. I graduated from Indian River High School. In 2022, I was sitting in my band class. And I started blowing up my mom's phone. Yes, I know the rule. You are not allowed to be in your phone in school. But when you're a really good kid and you had like a 4-point-something GPA, they didn't really care what you did. So I always text my mom in school. I got texting her one day and something had came up on my Instagram. And it was Turning Point USA, which I didn't know who they were. All I saw was a picture of Kayleigh McEnany and Candace Owens. And I sent it to her and I was like, Mom, can we go to Texas? And this woman goes, no. So then I sent a second text. I said, Mom, can we go to Texas? She said no again. And I said, third time's the charm, all right? And I said, Mom, can we go to Texas? And she goes, what for? I said, Kaylee McEnany and Candace Owens are speaking at this conference, and I want to see them. Like, I love Kaylee. Like, I want to see her. And my mom said, well, Mallory, that sounds cool, but how are you going to get there? Because we don't have the money to go. And that is very true. I did not have the money to go. So she gave me an ultimatum, and she said, Mallory, if you want to go, you're going to raise the money to go, and then I'll take you to Texas. Now, please keep in mind, my mother and I had not flown anywhere since I was 7, and at this point I was 17. So we hadn't gone out of the state, besides like to Lancaster, in like 10 years. So to fly halfway across the country, she probably didn't think she was going to get away with this. She was probably like, okay, we'll see. No, absolutely not. Thanks to this community, and let me say thank you to you all, I would not have been able to go to Texas. I raised enough money to pay for our hotel, our tickets, and some of the plane tickets. A huge thank you to so many small businesses and organizations. I wouldn't be sitting here if it wasn't for you. So this podcast is to give back to you. Since you got me where I am, I want to give back to you guys. So I went to Texas. Let me say that. I got to Texas of June of 2022. I filled out a vacation form in high school because you have to have a vacation form. And I filled it out, and I went to Texas. And all my teachers like, what are you going for? I'm like, I'm going to go see Kaylee McEnany. I was so excited. That conference was my turning point. The conference was Turning Point USA's Young Women Leadership Summit. And it was literally the coolest thing ever. The theme was reputation. It happened in the summer of 2022, right after the Uvalde shooting in Texas. So everyone was fired up. Like, everyone was like, Second Amendment. Like, it was dope. And so we went, and it was so cool. I got to meet so many people. So I got to meet Charlie Kirk there. Kat Kamak, the U.S. House Representative member from Florida. Allie Beth Stuckey, she has a really cool podcast too. And I could keep going, but like this episode would be like 5 hours long if we went into everyone I've ever met. And that summer after I flew back home, I attended 3 more conferences. One was through the Future Farmers Association, which was the Washington Leadership Summit. That was neat. I also attended the Youth Leadership School with the Leadership Institute. Then after that Turning Point conference, I came back home and I started the first Turning Point USA high school chapter in the state of Delaware. Then a few months later, I went to the Conservative Political Action Conference, better known as CPAC. I got to meet far more people. Even like Kat Kamak, she recognized my mom and I, so that was really cool. And for my 18th birthday, I got to see President Trump. This little girl from Sussex County was ecstatic. I was doing all these things. And at that point, that was February of 2023. May comes around, I graduate high school, I pack up and go to Texas, round 2 to the YWLS. Things started to go downhill for me. It was really painful to fly. It put a lot of pressure on my neck. I was losing my ability to talk, and I started having some health problems arise. In December of 2023, my life flipped upside down. I just finished my first semester at Del Tech, and I was on winter break, and, finished up my first semester, really good grades and all this, and winter break consisted of biopsies and phone calls with doctors yelling at Johns Hopkins, Penn Medicine. Yeah, December 27th of 2023, I was diagnosed with follicular thyroid cancer, which is a very rare type of thyroid cancer. I went to Johns Hopkins and had half of my thyroid taken out. On February 12th of 2024, I gained a new title, and it's not like a political commentator or anything like that. I got the title of cancer survivor because on February 12th, at 18 years old, I beat cancer. Now, leading up to that, that little stupid nodule on my thyroid caused a lot of problems. It made me lose my voice, my ability to laugh, my ability to talk. It created a lot of pain and tension in my neck, and I truly believe it's because God, He was going to use my voice, and Satan wanted to take it out. After the surgery, life was not all sunshine and rainbows. It became extremely difficult. I was really tired all the time. My body was going under a lot of readjustment. Somewhere in there, I became severely depressed. I will openly say that. Because your thyroid, when you get thyroid surgery, can cause depression, and that's what happened to me. One thing I really learned is just to live life to your absolute fullest. So if you have an idea, run with it and do it. Don't let anything stop you from doing it, because what good is that going to do?
Forgot to mention this. And then in November of 2024, I got offered the opportunity to move to Washington, D.C. So January 4th of 2025, I moved to Washington, D.C. for 4 months. This country girl went to the city, and I interned as a development events intern at the Leadership Institute. That was probably the moment that changed my life. I met my best friend, Kylie, who was my roommate, who I hope the Lance will come on to the show, because now she's living in D.C. and she'll talk about her super cool job. And also all my other friends that were part of that. One actually lives in Chile, South America. So, and also I worked a couple campaigns in the last 2 years since all of that too. So, yes, I can't forget that.
So, with all these in mind, I know I sound like probably the coolest person ever. Like, she met Charlie Kirk and beat cancer in the span of 2 years. That's insane. Which, yes, I am cool. I'm joking. I'm really not. At the end of the day, I'm really just a country girl. I'll openly say it. I run around barefoot 24/7. It can be 20 degrees outside. I'll run outside barefoot. I blare 90s country music so loud and Leonard Skinner so loud in my car that I'm shocked the speakers aren't blown out yet. I'll be honest with you. I'm just a country girl that loves American history, politics, and I have a divine calling on my life to serve God. I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to fight for you. That's my end goal here, is I want to make sure that you know how to fight for yourself, too. We have plenty of political commentators, and we have plenty of Sunday morning sermons, but we rarely ever hear them together. We rarely hear how your faith in Jesus Christ should directly inform how you respond to political issues in your state. Many of us were raised to believe that faith is something we do inside of our walls on Sunday. You go to church, then you leave, and you don't think about doing Christian things again until Sunday, right? And in my opinion, that's really no way to live at all. But, we all fall short, and we all do these things. It's normal. We're human. But as believers, we're called to do much more. For me, in this podcast, it's how I want to try and achieve this goal. Let me grab my Bible over here. Where did I do it? Okay. So Matthew 28:19 says, "Go therefore and make disciples of all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and the Holy Spirit, teaching them to observe all things that I have commanded you. And I am with you always, even to the end of the age." And when we keep that in mind, Christians not only need to go out and make disciples, but we need to educate ourselves. We need to be willing to put on the full armor of God. It's not just national politics that we see demonic forces in. We're seeing it right here in our state. And it's so evil. I mean, I know Satan's attacked me, but in the political world, it's nonstop. So how are you going to put on the full armor? You need to be prepared. That's the end of the story. Politics is a nasty, demonic world. So what you need to do is go read books, listen to podcasts, not just mine. Like, one of my favorite podcasts ever, and it sounds silly, but it's the Unashamed podcast by the Robertson family, because I was raised on Duck Dynasty. So, little shout out. I love them. Go listen to them. If you're not going to listen to me, listen to them. You need to understand what's happening in your states. I'm going to try and educate you, but you need to do it your own self. My goal throughout this show is to preach the gospel to you and bring on special guests to make you aware of what's happening on the shore and make sure you're equipped to fight back. I want us to think back to the title of this episode, like I said, Stewardship over Statehood. So what does that mean? I feel like I've covered one thing of that, and it's that we need to be prepared to fight it. But to dive deeper than that, since it's a new year, we're going to start off from the beginning. We're going to focus on the book of Genesis. I'll sum up the start in an easy way, just because I think you know the book of Genesis. If not, please go read it. That's your homework for the week, actually. So it starts off simple. God created the heavens and earth in 7 days, and then he created man and woman. But let's dive deeper into why God created man. Genesis 1:26. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, and over the cattle over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So when I read that, that literally tells me that God created man and woman to abide over the land, harvest it, and protect it, which is why we love our farmers. All we see is destruction. We see our farmlands being taken away to be built with developments, and we have these huge wind turbines being built out on our coast. As Christians, God called us to be dominions over our lands. And what are we doing? We're not protecting it. I'll straight up call y'all out. You're not doing anything. If you are sitting on your butt complaining on Facebook, being like, there's a new development being built, there's a new this being built, you're not doing anything about it. God called you to have dominion over your land, and you're just letting it slip away. God also states, or it's also stated in the Bible, in 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and heal their land. This isn't just an issue regarding Delmarva. Our entire country, our entire United States of America, our land is wicked. End of story. It's wicked. And specifically, right here in your own state, you're not doing anything to have dominion over your land. And it's like we have forgotten that. This right here, this Bible, is not new. This has been the way people have lived their lives for years. It's the way I live mine. And, you know, this is probably the most factual book there is out there. John Locke, he was an Enlightenment thinker in the 1680s. So 100 years before the United States of America was even ratified to become a country. These two documents right here, that's the Declaration and one's the U.S. Constitution. But in the 1680s, John Locke wrote a book called The Two Treatises of Government, where he stated this, that we have the right to life, liberty, and estate. And translated from Old English to today, that means property. We have the right to life, liberty, and property. That also sounds a lot like what Thomas Jefferson wrote, of you have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Fun fact, John Locke wrote that 100 years before Thomas Jefferson did. Which, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, your happiness is your family, your friends, and your land. You have the right to protect your land. We are called as Christians to protect and dominion the fish in the sea, the birds in the air, everything that creeps and crawls, and we're not doing it. We're not doing it anymore. We've lost sight of that. And, I mean, I'm not going to dive too deep into this because this is getting a kind of long podcast, but, I mean, you're called to go out and make disciples. You're called to go out and protect. Let's do it. End of story. Let's do it. Advocacy is a form of discipleship. When you go to a town hall meeting, when you call your representative in your state capital, when you vote for a policy that protects your area, you are saying, I value what God has entrusted to me. You are saying you want to continue to protect it and have dominion over it. There's something I learned at a conference once. Do what you can with what you have where you are. By doing this, I mentioned your voice is being heard. And going out and educating others is doing what you can where you are. That's what I'm trying to do. We complain and groan about, well, this isn't the way it used to be. Why are Democrats forcing all this control on us? But in reality, what are you doing? Complaining? That's not going to accomplish anything. You don't have to be the smartest in the room. I know for sure I'm not. I'm always willing to learn. You don't have to have complete understanding of what's happening. But if you feel that something isn't right, speak up about it. Advocate for those who don't. Be like the disciples or like Jesus. The disciples were all different and had different backgrounds, but that didn't stop them from spreading what they knew was truth. Go out and advocate for what you know is true. Make disciples to work with you, and don't be afraid to do so. We cannot point people to the Creator if we allow the state to have control over our lives. thank you all for joining me this week for our very first episode of the Faith and Justice Show. I'm always going to leave you with homework, because what kind of host would I be if I did not leave you with a mission? So if you listened to the show this week, you know we dove into the book of Genesis. Your task this week is, and it's very easy, between the hustle and bustle of the week, I want to I want you to go and read the first 2 or 3 chapters of the book of Genesis, and I want you to understand why God created the heavens and the earth. I want you to really dive into that, and I want you to understand why we have dominion over our land. And I want you to understand that the land we stand on is a gift from God, and it is not a lease from the governor, and it's our right to protect it, not the government. So, looking into the future, episodes are going to be bi-weekly. If you enjoyed this week's episode, make sure to go like and follow our Facebook page. The Faith and Justice is what the Facebook is. And our Instagram is at Faith and Justice Show. We also have a YouTube, and that is just the Faith and Justice Show. These will be uploaded on there. Thank you all for your support so far, and I will see you on next week's episode. My name is Mallory Justice, and this is the Faith and Justice Show. See you next time.